It's the last week of October, and one of the last weeks until the next generation consoles come out. We are getting very, very close, but October is wrapping up with a week of pretty solid game releases, I have to say. We got some heavy hitters, we got a big JRPG, we got some other interesting titles, so let's talk all about that. Kicking things off, we'll talk the big game right away. Watch Dogs Legion is out October 29th. Of course, this game will be receiving an Xbox Series as well as PlayStation 5 upgrade on those consoles' respective launch dates, but if you do want the game on the PlayStation 4, you can grab it there, and then you can ultimately upgrade to the PlayStation 5 version for free. Remember that if you buy a disc copy of Watch Dogs Legion, you will need the disc-based PlayStation 5. I really hope people are remembering that, and they don't think that if the game is on your trophy list or something, that you automatically get an upgrade. That's not exactly how it works, and I feel like if you use some logic, you can figure that out, but I've seen some people get confused on social media, so I want to make sure you guys are abundantly aware about that. Watch Dogs Legion is going to be an interesting release. I'm really excited to see how this game does commercially. I mean, not really excited, but I'm just really interested in how this game does commercially, because history tells us that if a publisher releases a game of the same genre alongside another game of a similar genre, one of those games is not going to do very well. And what I mean is Titanfall 2 back in 2016 released right around the same time as Battlefield 1, as well as Call of Duty Modern Warfare, I believe it was that year, or maybe it was Infinite Warfare. I think it was Infinite Warfare. And Titanfall 2 unfortunately bombed. Watch Dogs Legion is releasing right around the same time as Assassin's Creed Valhalla, two open world games and two games that I think is going to attract a similar audience. I feel like the Ubisoft open world audience has been kind of established at this point. So I'm interested to see if people are just going to go ahead and buy both games. Is Watch Dogs Legion gonna be the lesser selling title? If one of them is gonna fall off a little bit, I do see it being Watch Dogs Legion. I see the game doing relatively well, but with AC Valhalla right alongside it, I don't know. Whatever the case may be, the game itself looks pretty good. I really dug Watch Dogs 2. I know the issue with Watch Dogs was really there was an enormous amount of hype for the first game, and the first game to a lot of people didn't deliver, and that kind of set the franchise off to a bad start. Unfortunately, while Watch Dogs 2 was really good, I feel like that buzz was still kind of lost that we had in the original game. It wasn't a case like where Assassin's Creed 2 came out, and even though Assassin's Creed 1 to a lot of people was a little bit disappointing, Assassin's Creed 2 still got a ton of buzz and a ton of hype. I don't feel like Watch Dogs 2 really reinvigorated that hype, but everything in Legion seems pretty cool. This is a game you might want to wait a month or so before picking up, because it is a Ubisoft game, and Ubisoft games in history have gone down in price pretty quickly, so just bear that in mind. But I'm sure for those of you that liked Watch Dogs 2, this game is going to be something you really enjoy. Next up, here's one that I'm personally really excited for, The Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel 4. Now, I am cautiously excited for this game. I enjoyed Trails of Cold Steel 1, 2, and 3. I've heard some rumblings that Trails of Cold Steel 4's story is a little bit of a train wreck. I'm excited to see where they go with Cold Steel 4, because I did not read the spoilers, or at least all of them, for the Japanese release of Cold Steel 4, so let's see where it goes. Sometimes with JRPGs, hey, I'm in for a good train wreck. Now, if it's a game where it's a little bit of a grind and they make a lot of decisions that upset me, okay, that'll be a little bit of a bummer, but if it's a nice train wreck, you know, sometimes I can get into a solid JRPG train wreck storyline. That's why I'm excited to see where they go with FF7 Remake in the future. It's either going to be really good or it's going to be a train wreck. That's kind of the story with a lot of Japanese RPGs, and I know a lot of people get upset with Japanese RPG storylines, but if you've played enough of them, you know that's sometimes a reality. And if you've watched a lot of anime, and I watched anime growing up back in high school and whatnot, yeah, anime storylines are sometimes a little bit of a train wreck. JRPG storyline's a little bit of a train wreck, but you kind of have to embrace the nature of the train wrecks, and if you do that, I feel like you can still enjoy the games without getting overly emotional. Nevertheless, I enjoyed Cold Steel 1, 2, and 3 so much, Cold Steel 2 probably being my favorite of the three games, that Cold Steel 4 is going to be something that I'm definitely going to pick up. I want to invest some time into it. Hopefully I can get done with the game before the launch of the PlayStation 5, and we'll go from there, and hopefully people do end up enjoying the game, or at least laughing at it, you know, finding some sort of enjoyment depending on where they take the story. And hey, maybe the story is really good, maybe I'm reading a little bit too much into social media since I haven't read the story itself, again, the spoilers, but we'll see what happens. This one will be out October 27th. Next up, we have Ghostrunner. This is a game that looks really cool. Not a lot of people are talking about it, unfortunately. It's one that has a very, very slick presentation style, and I think from a visual standpoint, it's something a lot of people can get into. The setting is also great. Reminds me a lot of Mirror's Edge from its platforming aspects. That looks really, really good, and it does have a really slick cyberpunk setting, so excited for this one. There is a demo available over on Steam, so you can check that out if you're interested. The game is $29.99, so a relatively budget title. Don't know if it's up on the PlayStation Store yet, but it's up on Steam, and it's 20% off over there, so if you want to get it on PC, go ahead. Otherwise, PlayStation 4 version will be out October 27th, and this one will be getting a PlayStation 5 upgrade, but that won't be until early 2021, but you can be on the lookout for that as well. I believe this game is coming out on Switch as well. So kind of interesting how they get these visuals on the Switch. I wonder what kind of sacrifices they're going to have to make, but hey, if you can get Witcher 3 on Switch, I'm pretty confident they can get just about anything on Switch, so excited for this one. We'll see how it turns out on October 27th. Alright, next up we have Galasad. This was coming kind of out of nowhere. This was on Steam. It came out back in 2015. Cool little shoot 'em up here. Didn't get a lot of traction on Steam. It has 32 Steam user reviews, 81% positive. Knows command destructive spaceships to obliterate hordes of enemy vessels while quickly solving puzzles to weave through networks of vibrantly colorful adversarial machines. Came out all the way back in July of 2015. $10 on Steam. Imagine same price on PlayStation. So you can check that out today as it just released. So have a look at it if you are into shoot 'em ups. The shoot 'em up market is so competitive that a game like this I could easily see getting lost in the shuffle, and that's kind of unfortunate. But yeah, there's a lot of great shoot 'em ups on the market these days. It seems like there is a core audience for them. So that's good, but again, the competition is kind of crazy. Next up, we have Pacer. Pacer reminds me a lot of Wipeout by the looks of it. It's a combat racing title, and it looks pretty cool. It came out on PC back in May of 2017. Didn't get barn burner reviews, as it has 336 Steam user reviews, and 72% of those are positive. That's okay. It's not the greatest score in the world, but that's still relatively decent. It notes it's a high-octane anti-gravity racing at its most destructive. Customize your craft and weapons, then engage in the campaign, a single-player race, or compete against your rivals in explosive online multiplayer for the ultimate combat racing experience. Game might be able to carve out an audience on PlayStation 4. We'll see if it does that. It's out October 29th. And lastly, we do have the Dark Pictures Anthology, Little Hope. So this is being done by Supermassive Games, the guys that you might know them for Until Dawn. The last Dark Pictures wasn't fantastic by user reception, but let's see if they can turn it around with this one. It notes trapped and isolated in the abandoned town of Little Hope, 4 college students and their teacher must escape the nightmarish apparitions that relentlessly pursue them from an impenetrable fog. So this one is dropping at $29.99, so it is a budget-oriented title. If you're familiar with Supermassive Games, you know that their games have multiple endings, a lot of narrative decision-based choices, so they do have a little bit of replayability in that context, but the game will be out October 29th, so you guys can look forward to that as well if you are looking for a horror game, and you know, it is pretty timely of a release, so hopefully it ends up delivering. That's going to conclude this video, guys. Again, a little bit of a light week, all things considering it is a, last week of October. Fall's typically pretty heavy, but we're in the pandemic era. We're coming up on the launch of new consoles, and everything has kind of been the perfect storm for things to go bad, as we've been seeing with, next-gen consoles being sold out everywhere. A couple delays, but everything has been relatively intact. Watch Dogs Legion, Legend of Yours, Trails of Cold Steel 4, Ghostrunner, Galasad, Pacer, and the Dark Pictures Anthology, Little Hope round out the lineup. Let me know if you're picking up any games this week. Are you saving your money for the next-gen consoles? Are you just going to pass everything entirely and wait for sales? Sound off with your thoughts in the comments section down below. As always, thanks for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.